So today we're going to Rocky Branch over here at Beaver Lake. There's a dog out on the road. It's a nice day. It's like 75 degrees outside. Water looks good. It's probably like 10-mile-an-hour winds, I'd say. It looks a little bit choppy, but I think they're here waiting on me, so we'll see. But hopefully it's a good day. Plan on throwing a little bit of jigs, some spinner baits, of course, with the wind. I don't know, maybe try chatterbait, see if they're hitting that at all. The shad spawn. I don't know though. Hopefully it works out. Because if they're not hitting in the wind, then maybe go find some calmer spots and see if they're sitting up there. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. There's a guy up here. I don't know what he's looking at.
Parking lot down there.
Okay. So he's going back to where he came from, and I'm going to where I want to be. The lake, boy. Oh, look at that. There's some other people that launched out of here today. And here we are at our destination. It looks pretty good, honestly. And I will see you on the boat.
Welcome to the Bass Plugs. You guys have seen a few clips already of us fishing with jigs here at Beaver Lake. My name's Nick Vine. It's our first video. We're both from Northwest Arkansas. Our home lake is Beaver Lake. We'll be shooting a lot of our videos. To get right into it, we're going to start talking about the rods we use, the reels, the jigs, and how we like to use them. So to start off with, I have a Falcon Cara Amistad. It's a 7.3, great rod, very sensitive, balanced, absolutely amazing rod. The reel I'm using on this one is a Lew's Custom Pro. Great reel. I like the new grips they have on them. They're really solid grip even when they're wet, which I really like. Fishing in the rain and things. The jig is a Bass X brown and orange. And the trailer I use on this one, by far my favorite trailer, is the Gary Miles split tail trailer. Now, with these trailers, I like to dye the tails, as you can see on this. Depending on the water clarity, if it's dirtier water, I'm going to dye it more, even all the way up to the hook if it's chocolate milk water. But clear water, I'm going to dye just the tips, just to give them a little bit of flash to entice that bite. And the way I like to fish this jig on the specific rod, the rod's not super beefy, but it's got enough backbone to get a good hook set. But I'm not going to be flipping it into brush and that kind of thing. I'm going to be fishing this kind of more open water on points, laydowns, boulders, those kind of things. And I'm just going to be throwing this out there, let it drop on slack line. Drag it slow, maybe hop it every once in a while, let it sit. Just whatever, just experiment with how you drag it and work like that. See what they're doing today, how they're biting. That's kind of been the best one for me. How about you?
Today I'll be talking about the rod and reel that I like to throw and the jigs that I like to throw on it. My name is Corey Welchel and I'm also from Northwest Arkansas. The rod that I like to throw my jigs on is a 7.2 heavy Zodius made by Shimano. It's a good rod. At first I wasn't too sure about it. It's kind of heavy. It felt like a broomstick at first, but realistically I realized that it kind of helps with my jigs. So I feel like I really get the hook good in them and I get a good hook set. The reel that I have this paired with is an Abu Garcia STX, the second generation I believe. It's not one of the brand new ones, but I've had this reel for a couple years and it's done me great. I mean, it has some wear and tear to it, but I love it. The jig that I'm throwing is another Bass X jig like he's throwing. This one has a little bit of red accent to it and some green in it. I'm throwing that with the watermelon red Gary Yamamoto trailer, and this is just kind of my bread and butter, something we both love throwing. A good jig, just something solid and basic. After that, the way that I like to use this jig is honestly, because he's throwing a football jig, where sometimes I'm throwing this spider jig like this one is, and I like throwing it out there, of course, like he is, letting it go on completely slack line. But usually, whereas some of the times he'll hop it, I usually just try to drag it as much as I can. Sometimes though, if the fish I feel like are coming up off the bottom after it or doing anything a little bit different, then I might hop it a little bit or get something different to it. But for the most part, just the basic, just pulling it in slowly on the bottom, making sure I get some bottom contact, knocking on those rocks and getting down there with the fish. The line size that I throw on this typically going to be like 15 pound, maybe, you know, if there's more brush or more rock in the water, maybe 20 pound, you know, in case, and that's fluorocarbon Seagar. That's what I prefer throwing. And that's just the way that I like throwing my jigs and the rod I like throwing it on. Now let's see your other setup.
My other setup I have here is a rod I absolutely love. It's a Mega Bass Destroyer, 7.3 heavy. It's great. It's the most sensitive rod I have ever used in my life. Back in May, we fished a tournament on a local lake over in Oklahoma that had a lot of grass in it. And that particular tournament, I was throwing this rod up in the grass with jigs on it. And even with the weight of all the grass, I could still feel the sensitivity in the bites, and it helped out a lot. We were actually able to catch back-to-back 5-pounders with this one. I had this rod paired up with a Daiwa Steez TW, 7-1 gear ratio. Love this reel. It fits so comfortably in my hand. It's just smooth. I love the look of it. It's really sleek look. This rod, I tend to throw my other favorite color jig, which is a black and blue. And I'm also throwing a Guillermo trailer. It's also a Bass X jig. The black and blue is kind of my like go-to bait all the time. I've been throwing it for so long. First bait that I actually really got down, and I throw it all the time, but especially when it's cloudy outside or if I'm fishing in a lot of shade. Now that brown and orange one is great when the water is clear and sunny because it's more of a natural color. While this kind of sticks out more in the darker colors. Line size, both my rods, I fish 15-20 pound line, depending on circumstances, depending on what kind of cover I'm in, that kind of stuff. But I fish this one about the same way. Sometimes I fish a little bit slower in the lower light conditions because they're not quite as energetic going towards the baits. But that's all we have for you right now. I hope you enjoy the rest of our video. We got some more fish catches and some releases, and tune in for our next video. Thank you.